about where you were born. It's about where you can go, what you can access, and how securely can you actually pass the wealth forward. Whether it's the buzz around the US Gold Card or the quiet power of the Cayman Foundation, Plan B is no longer optional, it is expected. Joining me today is Alban Jerome, a senior strategist in global mobility at Gallant Toole, someone who works daily with clients building multi-jurisdictional assets and identity portfolios. Welcome back, Alban.
Thank you, Sarah. Delighted to be here. The conversations we're having with our clients now are dramatically different from even 5 years ago. Mobility is no longer seen as a luxury. It is a core pillar of strategic wealth planning, right up there with asset protection and tax optimization.
Alright, let's start with the US Gold Card. It's generating a lot of headlines. What does this really signal for the global wealthy?
So the gold card is a bit symbolic, right? It is the US acknowledging the global market for wealthy immigrants. What's proposed is a $5 million investment threshold for permanent residency and a pathway to citizenship down the line, without the cumbersome requirements and eligibility criteria like job creation requirements that were the mandate in the past. Now, the tax exception on foreign income or overseas income, if passed, would be unprecedented. Remember, the US currently taxes its citizens and residents worldwide income. For ultra high net individuals, this exception could mean annual savings in millions. And even if it's not immediately enacted, the program's framing reflects the US's attempt to retain capital inflows in a world where countries like UAE, Portugal, Malta, Singapore are becoming highly favored for their competitive mobility and tax offering.
So what you're saying is that we need to actually look at building a citizenship portfolio like how we would build our investment portfolio.
Absolutely, Sarah. Let's break down this concept of a citizenship portfolio first, right? Because it's not just jargon. It's a citizenship portfolio is a curated combination of second residencies, alternative citizenships, specialized and specifically designed to serve strategic purposes such as tax optimization, legal protection, and geopolitical risk mitigation, right? It is like any financial portfolio. Instead of assets, you're managing jurisdiction exposure, giving your family multiple legal options to live, invest, and move and thrive across borders. It's all about diversifying access, reduction of vulnerability, and of course, dealing with a level of flexibility in today's volatile world. Now, if you were to imagine a potential client who's sophisticated, they might prefer to structure their primary residence in the UAE for tax neutrality, strategic asset protections, and access to a robust business-friendly infrastructure, right? I mean, Dubai is just famous for this. And then you might have a citizenship by investment in St. Kitts or Antigua. This unlocks visa-free travels to 150 countries, including UK, European Union, the Session Zone, and much of Commonwealth, right? It's an insurance policy against any kind of passport risk. Then, of course, you could go and have a golden visa from Portugal. This is done through a real estate or a fund investment. This helps people get a long-term residency, eventual maybe a citizenship if they are looking for that, and access to healthcare and education throughout the European Union. Now, add to that a US green card by the EB5 or a forward-looking. Let's say they'd go with the golden card when it does come out. This gives them education opportunities, gives them access to global capital at a different level. And of course, it's the world's largest consumer market. So getting a foothold there is really, really good. And I must say this, it's not just theoretical, even though it looks a lot like for a lot of people. We're talking about passports not as trophies, rather structured tools, right? Used by clients who understand that geopolitical footprint is very important, as agile as your financial portfolio. These have to kind of align with each other. They need to have a syncrasy, right? And this helps you and your family hedge against political volatility, shifting regulatory frameworks, right? And of course, with increasing aggressive tax regimes that we're seeing across some parts of the world, it kind of creates a safety net and long-term thinking for them. And we've seen this plenty of times in the past, especially what we've seen with Brexit and the correlated lockdown that's happened in China, the little Hong Kong unrest, and even with some kind of bank freezing in Switzerland, right? So we have to create agile frameworks, specially designed with this in mind. For example, these could be one of the things that could be the Liechtenstein foundations. This gives you dynastic control. It gives you long-term family governance. You could have Cayman trusts, lets you do operational isolation for companies, manages your portfolio. Then, of course, you could have private bank accounts in Switzerland, Singapore. They offer a lot of multi-currency custody, foreign ex hedging, and full of discretion asset management, right? So there's a lot of privacy comes with these kind of setup. And each element is a piece of the puzzle. It's a citizenship portfolio, right? So you have risk insulation, you have tax deferrals, you have legal buffering, you have strategic relocation capabilities, and the principle all ties together in a bow, which I usually say control and not compliance. You don't want to follow the rules. You want to live in jurisdictions where the rules support preservation of wealth, privacy, and strategic freedom. When you're working and investing at a certain level, you want to have those options available for yourself.
What would this actually look like for the family thinking about it today?
All right, that's a very good question. So let's say you're a family with global interests and assets of say 50-60 million dollars. Your children are ready to be educated, right? And you want to make sure that, say, they educate in Europe, and you have investments that are in Southeast Asia and North America, and you want to think about your future generational wealth while maintaining as much as possible international mobility. So in such a situation, this is what we will look at. We will look at layered mobility strategy. So every family member does not need to hold every residency. Remember that. Many of these programs extend benefits to spouse and dependent children, and some even extend that to siblings. So which means a single application can unlock access for the entire family. And that's a key advantage you need to have in mind when deciding all of these. So again, hypothetically speaking, we might structure plan something along the lines of, say, UE tax residencies for the primary wealth holder, leveraging the zero income environment, lifestyle benefits, citizenship by investment in Malta or Grenada to provide visa-free access to Europe, key global corridors, a Portugal Golden Visa through real estate, or a fund investment offering long-term base in European Union. A US strategy either through EB5 or a pre-positioning for the Golden Card for educational purposes, right? In long-term capital deployment, it's always advantage to have a combination of these things. And these residencies all will be held strategically, not redundantly, which means we are offering global coverage without the unnecessary duplication of facts. On the structural side, what we would like to do is we would like to implement an protective frameworks. For example, we would start trust in Cayman Islands to hold business shares, offer creditor production, multi-generational succession, legal insulation from political instability. Then we would offer a Liechtenstein Foundation for philanthropic or legacy planning, right? This provides some level of control and continuity outside the traditional estate structures. Then, of course, you have the Delaware LPs or LLCs to hold US assets in a tax-efficient and shielded format. So think of these as protected structures, right? These are vehicles like trusts, foundations, holding companies that separate your asset ownership from asset control. They reduce your legal exposure, enhance privacy, and ensure continuity. In a jurisdiction with strong legal protection, they can serve as a buffer against any kind of litigation, seizures, or aggressive taxation. Strategic mobility is freedom, but most importantly, it is also flexibility. It is the freedom to reposition your family based on how your wealth and capital flow happens, your interests in global volatility. All of these things are your driving factors. To use an example, more rooted in recent history and in what we've seen, think about these Lebanese families, right, who had to really exit during the financial crisis, or Hong Kong entrepreneurs who were able to rapidly move capital post the 2019 unrest, or even Russian investors who were diversifying into Dubai post the 2022 sanctions. Many of these people were able to do this so easily because they had the foresight to think that mobility is not about just having passports as trophies, but long-term survival and protecting their interests, protecting their investments. These protective structures do exactly that. They provide an opportunity and an ability to act swiftly and intelligently based on different global occurrences.
So, Alban, what would you say to a client who is actually thinking about this but hasn't moved yet?
Well, we are in still what I call a window of opportunity, globally speaking, right? Many attractive residencies and citizenships are open and are offering very favorable terms. While the landscape is still shifting as much as it will shift, right? Like it's a very constant process. For example, Portugal has already tightened its golden visa options. It's removed a lot of key legal categories. Ireland's closed its investor immigration program. But at the same time, the US is proposing the golden card to attract elite investors at a significantly far higher entry point than the EB5 ever did. So the fact of the matter is, strategic mobility is still very much achievable, but it's becoming a little bit more expensive and exclusive. But that's why you have experts like me who understand how this thing operates, right? So what I would say is, every year you wait, the entry requirements are going to go higher or they're going to change, because that's how due diligence happens and geopolitical risks multiply, right? So start quietly, start smart, and start structurally. We can help you position our assets, help you with residency options and protected structures today, before the policy changes force you to make reactive, rush decisions tomorrow. Every good investor knows early movers have a better choice. They have the luxury of selecting jurisdictions strategically and not desperately, right? They have time to optimize tax exposure, secure better educational pathways for their children, and insulate their wealth properly from unfavorable laws. In the short, if I can say, the best time to act was yesterday, so the next best time is right now.
As today's conversation shows, global citizenship and strategic mobility are no longer luxuries reserved for a few. They're actually fast becoming essential components of serious wealth management. The ability to move your family and assets to a business interest across borders intelligently is what differentiates resilient families from vulnerable ones.
Well, Sarah, you're right. Whether it's preparing the US gold card, securing the European access through a golden visa, or even insulating assets through protected structures, mobility and structures are two sides of the same strategy. So the fact of the matter is, freedom is important, but freedom without preparation is fragile. And thinking aloud here, right? Have our listeners given a thought about what if tomorrow the rules change in their home country? Are they going to be able to move without hesitation? Are your assets secured in a jurisdiction that favors protection, privacy, and preservation? Have you built true optionality for your family, your business, and your legacy? Now, if the answer isn't a confident yes, maybe it's time to start that conversation. The clients who plan now are the ones who will be in control, regardless of where the world tilts next time.
At Gallant Toole, we specialize in bespoke, discrete, global mobility strategies tailored to your vision, your family, and your future. If you're ready to explore what true strategic freedom looks like, visit galto.com or connect with one of our advisors. Thank you all for joining us on Wealth and Mobility Insights by Gallant Toole. I'm Sarah, and we'll see you again.